For those of you who don't actually have any kind of audience built up yet, or you're right at the beginning stages, cold service is better than cold calling. Now, cold calling is you ring someone up or you message them and in some direct or indirect way you say, please buy my shit. Cold service is you get in touch with someone that you've never been in touch with before, but you improve their day. You don't ask for anything. You don't try to sell anything. You give them compliments, you give them recognition, you do some research on them and congratulate them and acknowledge what they're good at. You send them stuff that you know they're going to like based on what you are able to find out about them online or through a referral or whatever. So you look, when you're going to reach out to create new potential prospects, whatever you want to call them, new relationships, start with, how do I make it that they go, holy shit, that was such a nice thing to receive from a random person? And no strings attached, right? Not like, okay, and what's the catch? It needs to be very clear that there's no catch. I like to, in coaching business, I would make personal videos for people. I'd say, hey, I was just looking through your LinkedIn profile, for example. I saw this, and this, and I'm really impressed how you did that and how you stood up for this. That really shows integrity. I'm a big fan of people with integrity, so I wanted to let you know that I recognize you and keep up the good work. And that's it. No, and by the way, I'm a coach. Would you like to buy some shit? Can some of your money leave, your wallet and come into mine? There's none of that. Whenever I get messaged, 99.9% of the time, even if it's presented as a gift, I can feel that they're trying to take. Right? It just puts me off. This is why LinkedIn, for example, is so terrible for reach outs, is everybody sucks at doing it. The platform's fine. It's the way you're doing it. It's like, yeah, I can see you're using a template. Why would I respond to someone who treats me as a number by using a template? Right? So you got to reach out to people with service, individualize, personalize, put some effort into it, do some research, make it so they go, wow, somebody actually considers me to be significant. And don't make it faked. Consider them significant and treat them as such. It would be no different in the wine business. Right? I don't know exactly how wine people find their prospects, but I'm not going to reach out to some random dude. I'm going to go to a fucking tasting, for example, and I might listen in to people and be like, dude, you totally nailed the flavors on those wines. Like, of all the people here, you're like one of those wine sniffing experts. Well done. I'd approach someone like that, right? If I'm a wine salesman. And there would be no like, by the way, you want to buy a bottle of my shit? It would just be that gift freely given. And that's how I build up. The people who responded to me, they go into my mailing list, we talk further, whatever it is, I build up an audience that way. But the gift is freely given. That's how I connect with people. For those of you who have already established an audience and already have clients, got to remember the best customers are repeat customers. See, so many people try to constantly focus on someone new when they've got somebody already buying from them. That person is more likely to buy double than you are to find a new client. Okay? And your best clients are repeat. And what I mean is, you're looking for your ideal client, you're looking for someone who's going to keep buying from you, keep working with you, build a relationship with you. When you both retire, you'll still be friends smoking cigars on the golf course together. That's your ideal client, right? So why are you looking for someone new if you've already got a potential group of them right there in your database? Okay? Your primary contact of every day, your primary reach outs, whatever you want to call them, should be to people who are already working with you. Surprise them with value. Give them more than what they paid for. Make it so that they don't think of anyone else when they think of whatever it is that you sell, right? I want to make sure that my coaching clients only have one coach in their life, me, right? I don't mean that they shouldn't see other coaches, they probably should, but I want to make sure I outperform anybody else who's vying for their attention, that they don't get a better service from anybody else, okay? Because I want them back. I don't want to keep working with new people. I do like working with new people, but nothing's better than working with someone on and off for years, right? They come in, they go away. Sometimes they need a quick issue solved, then they go away again. Sometimes they come in for a long-term thing to do some deep inner work, then they go away again. I love that. I want that to last for decades. It's my favorite kind of work because we grow together over time. That's brilliant for coaching. And it's effortless. When you've got a first-time client, you've got to work past these financial objections they have and all their fears and insecurities about your value. When you've got a repeat client, they're just like, yeah, let's do some more. All right, done. And it would be the same in the wine business. Jeff, you're keen for another pallet. It just came through. Yep, lock it in. You don't have to be like, okay, so what's your card details? How do you feel about spending that much money? You don't have to do any of that with a repeat client, right? So you want to be looking to serve your current clients primarily. These are the people who should get the best of your energy. New people should be a distant second place to that. Now let's talk about qualifying. Qualifying is about making sure you're spending your energy in the right place. It's about having very high standards about the person you want to work with and looking for people who meet those standards, or at least close to it. It's going to be different for every industry a little bit, and different for every product and service a little bit, but there are some commonalities that I think probably go through all of them. What you're looking to do is find the current best clients you have, reverse engineer them. How are they the same as each other? What do your best clients have in common with each other that they don't have in common with lesser clients or non-clients? Right? What kind of what's the pattern there? What are the themes? If you're going to try and find another one, what's the demographic? What's the psychographic profile of that person? How do you repeat that? And then, of course, the opposite, the worst clients, the people who wasted your time, who asked for refunds, who complained, all those kinds of people, what do they have in common? And distinctly, how are they different from the ideal clients? How would you know the two? If you're meeting with two of them, how would you tell them apart? What kind of questions would you need to ask to find out? This should be an ongoing piece of research that you keep adding to. You want to keep getting better and better at identifying ideal clients and their opposite, non-ideal clients, awful clients, or non-clients. Like I said, there are some principles that I think are common, whether you're a coach or a wine merchant or an eBay pre-seller, whatever the fuck they are, right? There's certain things that are always a bad client. There's certain things that are almost always a good client. One thing that's almost always a good client is that they invest. Okay, so when I'm working with someone who wants to do coaching with me, one of my first questions is, what have you done before? I want to know if this person invests in self-development. Do they pay for courses and coaches and workshops and books? Are they used to going, I've got to put money into myself if I want my life to be better? Right? I want that kind of attitude right out of the gate. I don't want coaching to be the first thing they ever paid for, especially at the prices I've got, right? That's a very that's a red flag. It happens occasionally. Most of the time, if someone's never done anything before, I'm like, well, get back to me when you have, right? It would be the same if I'm a wine seller. I'm looking for somebody who's already got a wine collection, right? I want to look for wine enthusiasts. I'd be going to wine-related meetups to meet people, not random people. Be like, well, I drink a lot of beer, maybe wine would be alright. Even though that would be better than someone who doesn't drink at all. So I'm looking for someone who invests. That's almost always going to be a good client kind of criteria. With my coaching people, I look for people who are open in terms of psychology. They want new ideas, they want old beliefs challenged. They're not going to be conservative in their psychology. They're not going to be resistant to trying new things. So I need somebody who's ready to change. Okay? I don't care if someone wants to pay me $1 million if they're not interested in changing. I can't work with that person. Now, this is definitely a service-based thing. It would apply to many services. If you're a masseuse, somebody actually wants to fix the problem with their back, not somebody who just wants to complain about it. Right? You're looking for somebody, I've tried these exercises, I'm keen to change, I'm open, I'm reading these new things I've never read before. You want to look for those signs that this person is open to taking a service and putting it into use, because the quality of your service is not dependent on you, it's dependent on them. Any service-based business, what do they do with it? Right? You can write a great book, but if they don't read it, then the book sucks. You can be an excellent coach, but if they don't follow through with action, the coaching sucks. You want to make sure your service doesn't suck. You've got to find good clients. It's not about you, it's about them. It's one of the things I see, I'm not a big Tony Robbins fan, but some people get a lot out of Tony Robbins. I put that more on them than him, right? Because there are plenty of people who go to Tony Robbins and their life's worse afterwards because they were never going to put anything good. They were never going to put anything into use in a good way. They were bad clients. It's a problem I have with those kind of big high-end guru types that will just pack a seminar with thousands of people with no qualification whatsoever, they don't care if the client is a good client or not. They just care if the person's going to pay, right? I have higher standards in there. I want to make sure that my reviews are always good, and the way to make sure of that is to make sure I'm working with someone who's going to get a lot out of it. The same would apply to being a wine salesman. I don't want someone who's going to be like, ugh, wine's disgusting, right? I want someone who loves wine. I want someone who's going to drink it, who's going to have parties and share it around. I want somebody who's open to trying new wines. They've got a collection. They want to keep adding something delicious and unfamiliar to that collection. They have a history of doing that. So I think somebody who's open to change and open to new things in your field is a qualifier for a good client. And the third criteria that I have a few criteria, but these are the top three, is we have a good connection. Me and my client get along. Right? I don't mean that we agree on everything, but we would have a beer together. Right? We're not just about the coaching. I would actually like to have this person as a friend. I'd like to spend time with them. It would not be uncomfortable for me to socialize with them. This isn't necessary, really, for a good client, but it is for a great client. And if you want nothing but ideal, great clients in the end, if you want to build up to that, where you've got nothing but the best, then this is a criteria I think you should add. If you don't like calling the person to sell the wine, if you're like, I've got to talk to this guy, he buys a lot, but he's such a dick, well, then he's not ideal. He's better than the person who doesn't buy at all, but he's not the best available. You still want to be looking elsewhere. Right? Don't spend too much time on this person, looking for the person that you're not afraid to call, that you can't wait to talk to, right? Because they exist too, and you don't want to waste time with the people who aren't like that. And of course, bad clients tend to have things in common. They waste a lot of time without spending a lot of money. That's a classic one, is they look really responsive. They get back to your emails really quickly. They want to talk on the phone for hours. They watch all of your videos on YouTube. But after a few months, you're like, man, this motherfucker ain't bought shit. He hasn't even bought a course. He wouldn't even help the promotion of my book. I was putting my book out there for $5 just to get it out there, and he wouldn't even buy it for $5. I did a little promo thing, Mike and I, for Brojo, where we just did a test where we made Brojo membership $1 a month. And it was amazing how many people quit when it went from $0 to $1. How many people wouldn't even put $1 a month into something that they said was valuable? They were using up a lot of our time with emails, requesting us making videos, talking to us online. But as soon as we charged $1, crickets, they disappeared completely. Right? That's the kind of person you want to avoid. That's a bad client. It looks good, but it's bad. Right? Then you got the people who are going to complain, people are going to give you bad reviews. Anybody who's just basically going to be a negative experience for you. In coaching, it can be also the person who's really uncoachable. You try your best and it's like pulling teeth. You have to beg and plead with them to take action. The best clients feel like a light touch, like it's almost embarrassing to get paid to coach them because they do so much with so little. Whereas the other person, you feel like you're not getting paid enough because it's just like, getting dragged through barbed wire. And I think a similar thing would happen with wine sales. Is the person where you got to talk to them for an hour and a half to sell them a single glass, right? That's a waste of time, right? Just because they're buying doesn't mean they're a good client. In fact, you got to look at not just all your audience, but all your clients as a spectrum, right? So your whole audience, you got that Pareto distribution. 80% of them aren't going to buy anything, and the 20% who do, they're also going to buy in an escalating curve. So there's going to be the people who buy a little bit occasionally through to the people who buy a lot often. And you want to really start focusing up that end of the graph, giving your time and attention to the people who give back to you the most, right? Taking it away from the people who only give you a little bit in return for the lot that you give them. This isn't about some sort of transactional relationship. It's like, if you don't buy something, then I'm not going to pay attention to you. But it is a little bit about respect. It's like, let's make sure that I'm always in a relationship with someone where it feels equal, where it feels like we both benefit from this, not anything that feels lopsided. If it feels lopsided, move on to somebody else. Now, here's a great principle for sales that I got from a coach once. Hell yes versus no. It's not a unique principle that's out there. Mark Manson's a big advocate for this one. But the idea where you never let someone leave on a maybe. Okay, if you're in a sales call, if you want to call it that, you never let them leave to think about it, to get back to you, to check with the wife, anything like that. It's either a yes or a no. Now, this is a service both to you and to them. For a start, if someone really should, but they're on the fence, this helps push them. It helps them make them realize, like, I've got to make a call here. Now's the time. Am I going to finally do that thing I promised myself I was going to do, or am I going to put it off yet again? You're putting them in that position. But you're also making sure for your own mental health that there are no maybes. That you never leave going like, would he have if I just said this or that, or blah, 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 or, did I just miss an opportunity, or I wonder when he's going to get back to me. He said 5 days, but it's been 5 million years, right? That kind of position is a horrible place to live in. Basically, you've got to treat maybes as a no. Here's the key here. Rather than trying to turn a maybe into a yes, you try to turn it into a no. And this is a non-needy approach. See, a sales guru, tactic, marketing, whatever the fuck, they'll try and get you to turn it into a yes. If someone's hesitant, try to make them say yes with all your various manipulations. Go the other way. All right, if someone's hesitant, say, look, I can feel that you're not really into this. Right, so we're going to call it a no for now, but we can keep talking. Tell me what's holding you back, right? Is there something going on here that makes you uncomfortable? Because you can tell me about it. But for now, I'm taking the deal off the table. No pressure, no obligation. As far as I'm concerned, you're not going to be a client, and that's fine. But I can see you're not comfortable, and I don't want to end the call like that. So let's keep talking. I remember the first time I sort of tried this, because I in my history of coaching, I don't think I've ever had a maybe come back as a yes. Ever. I've had a lot of people end a call with like, I'll get back to you, I just need to check on this, I need to think about it. I've almost never had that turn into a yes. And after a lot of that happening, I realized, there's a pattern here. Why do I keep letting this happen? So the next time it happened, after having a session with my coach, the guy was like that, I've got to check with the wife, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, you know what? I know where this goes. I've been here before. Let's call it a no. You're clearly not into this enough to say yes right now. And that's your criteria. If it's not, yeah, fuck yeah, let's do it. You're allowed to be scared, but you still got to be all in. Then we'll talk again when you are. But for now, it's a no. The guy called me back in 3 days, said he hadn't slept because that no had bothered him so much, and now he was a yes. And I realized I'd let a lot of people down by letting them leave with a maybe. I'd allowed them to continue a harmful pattern that they've been doing their whole life, where they deprive themselves of something because they just can't go all in, but they're allowed to escape with a maybe. The same would apply to wine sales. I'm talking to someone, racking up the order, and they're like, I just got to check with the wife, and so on and so forth. Basically I'm going to come at them saying, look, you're clearly not ready to buy wine right now. I'm not here to pressure you into that. So we're going to call it a no. I'll delete this order. If you change your mind, you know how to get in touch with me, and I'll send you a list of potential wines if you want. But let's move on, because I'm not here to sell you something. I'm just here to serve you. And obviously this isn't serving you. Words to that effect. I wouldn't have a script or anything. I'd be paying attention to the person, responding to them personally. But the idea being is, you're either in or you're out. And if you're not sure that you're in, then you're out. I'll do that for you if you're not going to do it for yourself. Just try it. If you don't think this method sounds like it's going to work, just try it. Okay? See how you feel after doing it when you've got no maybes left in your mind. Right? They're either a definite no, or they change their mind and become a yes, which is rare, but it happens. Going, there's no one to follow up with. I'm done with everybody. It's time to move on. It's such a good feeling. This one might apply just to coaching, this next one, but don't let money be a barrier. A lot of people in the coaching world, they advocate that you get all the money up front, and that you basically, you've got to focus on pressuring the person to making this big payment and saying, this is your, your commitment. This is how you show that you're really into it, and this is how this will make you show up to the coaching. And they're quite happy to put someone in debt in order to get them into coaching. And I was doing that for a while, and I was like, I just don't like this. I don't think everybody who's saying I can't afford it is lying. A lot of them are. A lot of people say I can't afford it when they really say I don't want to. But some people are like, I just literally don't want to spend that much money right now. I really value what you're doing, but I don't want to get into debt to do it. I've got enough fucking problems. So I started relieving that by offering payment plans. No discount, just payment plan. You pay it off. I have so many people paying me off for coaching that's long since finished. Nearly every single one of them is paid off. And I got so many more yeses once I introduced this. They're like, now that was actually a barrier for me, now it's not. And they all pay it off. They actually really appreciate that I'm going to adjust to their lifestyle rather than go, hey, you know that coaching budget you don't have? Yeah, take that out of your kids' college fund. Right? Get a credit card with high interest rate just to get coaching. No, I wouldn't do that. Right? So why would I expect them to do it? Don't know if that applies to wine exactly or depend, on the company you work for and so on, if you can offer payment plans or whatever. But the key idea being is sometimes the person really would buy if the money thing wasn't such a tight issue for them right now. Make sure you know the difference between that and someone using money as an excuse to avoid being impolite and saying, I just don't want to, or I don't like you. And it's a very simple question. You're saying, look, if we could figure out a way to make the money thing easier for you, would you be interested then? Or is this not really about the money? Right? You can give them that out. But you'll be amazed at how often the money is an actual issue that can be solved if you're willing to be brave. See, when I look at the other coaches in the coaching world who are like, you got to charge up front, what I hear is fear. They're afraid they're not going to get their money. Right? They're afraid that the person's going to get the coaching and go, you know what, that actually wasn't worth it. I'm not going to pay. And I challenge them to be bolder. See, I'm like, you know what? You might not pay me back. I'm not going to take you to court. Right? I even tell them that. There's no legal contracts or nothing. I'm like, here's the payment plan. Look, if you don't pay me, we'll never work together again, but I'm not going to do anything about it. It's just an agreement. This is a handshake. This is our integrity speaking for us and nothing more. They always pay, except for one dude that I remember. They always pay, right? Because I make sure that my coaching is worth it. That they'd be embarrassed not to because it's so good, right? If they don't pay because my coaching sucks, then my coaching's the problem. Payment plans aren't the issue. If your product or your service is high quality, payment plans aren't going to be a problem unless you're giving it to the wrong people. But you do your qualifying, like we talked about earlier, this problem goes away.